This is how to play Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. This is originally in DADGAD tuning, which I am tuned to now, and we will cover that in a second. But I'm going to put myself back into standard tuning and show you a way how you can get started learning this riff with just one finger. Really, really easy. We're going to do it like a demo just then a second ago, and then I'm going to show you all the riffs and all the proper way to play this classic song. So if we stay entirely in standard tuning, so that all my standard chords would work, what we can do is just play the middle two strings, and I put your first finger where it would be on a D chord. And just give it a down, up, down, because that's the rhythm we're going for. Okay? But then what we're going to do is go just on the middle two strings. Now if you can't do that, go for down strums for now, but we're really going to need that down, up, down motion over just two strings, even for the easy way to do this up to speed. Think about it just as a little power chord. Kind of like that. Easy on the thicker couple of strings, but harder here because we're finding it. We're finding where we're picking. And now, let's do that twice. And then we're just going to move our first finger up one fret at a time until it gets up to the 5th fret. How easy is that? That makes this riff so much more simpler just for the average kind of guitar player that wants to play a cool riff. You could jam along to the record with that. We're going to be covering all the different tuning, and we'll put ourselves in DADGAD in a second if you fancy. But you will likely not be able to play it unless you can play this first. Okay, and then finally, we're going to finish at the 7th fret. And we're also going to add the open D string just in between each chord, each chord change, I should say. And we're having to get that mute in there. Palm mute with the outside of the hand here. Don't normally think of this as an easy beginner riff, but it really kind of is. And if you wanted to play the other bit without having to retune your guitar, I would just play like the thinnest 3 strings of a power chord, and we're just going to play a sus2. Oh, sus4, sorry. It's up at D, and we go down D, C, A, G, and F. That's D, C at 8th fret, 5th fret, G at 3rd fret, and then F. Watch how we play it. No retuning needed. All we're doing is doing that one chord, shape at least, and then moving it down. Starting off at 10th fret with the first finger, going to 8, 4th fret, then down to 3rd. It's harder as you go lower. Finishing off 3, 2, 0 on the D string, and you can even keep the D string ringing out if you want. Nice and simple. So let's look at the DADGAD way of tuning this now, but this isn't for everyone. It is a little bit trickier. And, retuning your guitar all the time is not necessarily the best thing for it. It can knock things out of whack. And that can be why it's a good idea to have lots of guitars. It's a very good thing. So drop D first of all. Take the D at the E string down to a D note, which you can check by being in tune with the D. You now have the first chord of Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine. Oh yeah. Straight away, we can actually now play that riff. The only other thing we would do is take the thinnest two strings down by a whole tone, so E down to D and B down to A, giving us DADGAD tuning. And that means those strings can also be open. That's the reason we're doing it. And it's the chime and the clang of those open strings that kind of gives this riff that coolness. But you can, if you just strum the thickest four strings, it's the same thing as we were doing before. But if anything, easier on the strumming hand, harder because of this first stretch, because all the time we're still hitting these same frets. I'm also keeping down the 5th fret as well. So it's this awkward grip. There's only my first and little finger down there. 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th. Let's take the thinnest string down to a D. Now we can play that Rage Against the Machine chord with one finger. Just the finger where it was on a D. And that's our riff. It's really not changed that much at all, but we have got the chime of those open strings, which really makes a difference. One more time. That's the riff, and then that's what we finished with. So we have this chord, which is kind of like, reminds me of a B7 shape, but it's the same kind of thing. We're keeping the B string open all the time. Little finger at 12, first finger at 11, middle finger at 12. Slide that down 2 frets. Slide it down 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. And it's always that same move. So let's have a look at where the fret that our 3rd, little and 2nd fingers are. All these fingers are always at a certain fret. That's a 12th fret, 10th, 7, 5, 3rd, and then 3, 2, 0. That's how to play Kashmir. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your song requests in the description below.